Shalom. Shalom Yasharala. Kal halalim la Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Chorash. Yahweh is the Most High's name. Yahweh Shai is his son's name, our Redeemer. Okay? Bahasham means in the name, right? Shalom, and double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body, and shalom to the 144,000 and the 1/3, which is a greater multitude of believers. May peace and blessings be upon your households and a spirit of endurance as we approach in the end. And brakti habashim ashai for that. All right. Don't be perplexed with the things that are going on in the world. All right. These things have to happen, right? For us, the hopeful elect, to go through the straight gate, to get to the other side. All right. Greatness is not achieved easily. Okay. You have to be put through the ringer, as they say. We have to go through what His Majesty Yahweh Shai went through. All right, but we're going to go through it in our frail bodies as much as we can deal with. But the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to test your faith. Hebrews 11 verse 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. and without faith, it is impossible to please the Lord Yahweh Shai. Paraphrasing Hebrews 11 verse 6. All right, now I've got a couple of articles and going back as far as August 2024, which is just under a year. How many? April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, 8 months ago. But obviously, with so-called racism, the so-called white man, these Edomites, these crackers, always need to point something in. Always have to point at the direction of someone who looks physically different, because they are inferior and they've got a complete hatred towards Jake, right? They want to emulate Jake. They want to copy Jake's slang, Jake's dress code, Jake's music. When I say Jake, I'm talking about the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, right? But specifically the so-called black man, not you fucking Africans, not you Hamites. You don't call yourselves black. That's a byword. We're talking about the black man in America, the Akata, all right? The cotton pickers, all right? That you like to call Jake, all right? Okay? You heathens want to be like the black man, the Hispanic man, the Native Indian man, all right? I watch a lot of footage online, man, about real racist Edomites. Edomites saying to each other, hey, what up, what up? KKK members trying to act like YNs, showing their tats and all that shit, and saying to a Jake to bounce, using slang like Jake, but then they're racist. Irony. They want to be you. They want to emulate your star because they got no way to project, to be so-called cool. But Esau wants to be you. All right, they dress like you, but they hate Jake. They say the term usual suspect, but these same crackers are trying to wear a gold chain, which is fading because they don't have real gold around their neck and it looks corny on them. They try to dress like Jake. Some of these motherfuckers are even wearing shiesties, and I'm not bigging up Jake, all right, in that respect, okay? I'm just saying these crackers, man, they're corny as fuck, all right. But anyway, I'm deviating. They're slack for that. I just hate these damn devils with a passion, man. All right. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 15 and 14, all the way to 16. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. Verse 15. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Now the sword could be a literal sword, it could be a butcher's knife, it could be a bat, it could be a gun, it could be whatever it is. Now this is ancient terminology. In the ancient world, it was hand-to-hand combat, guerrilla warfare. All right, especially Jake is known for that. Our Gadite brothers, Native Indians, are known for that. Israelite foreigners are known for that. All right, I know my forefathers practiced a lot of guerrilla warfare. All right, and they had a very austere nature. All right. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. What's sedition? Men will be talking amongst each other. Let's do this, let's do that. Let's get these lot, let's get that lot. They'll be invading one another, they'll be rushing each other's yards, attacking places. All right. And the so-called white man, his kingdom is falling. All right. So they got one people to blame, as they always do. When the so-called white man is failing in this world, which they are, they're fucking losers, period. In every single way, even in their own rulership, their women desire us. They want that sun-tanned, naturally tanned Superman. All right. They don't want a fucking pale pigskin, stank hot dog water smelling, fat fucking pimple bloated faced motherfucking cracker. And if I'm swearing, I'm so-called swearing, okay? Though I be rude in speech, but yet not in knowledge. Paraphrasing a scripture. All right. So fuck you if you don't like it. All right. And the ones that are sincere is not directed towards you. All right. I'm talking about them sensitive, faggot ass, weird ass, soft ass, wannabe, wacky tacky Christian motherfuckers. All right. So this thing's gonna kick off, man. All right. And it's gonna lead to martial law. As these things pick up, all right, there's something called problem, reaction, solution. Regardless of this is whether it's orchestrated by the so-called white man, the powers that be, okay? Even like these footages you'll see of people, YNs, young N-words, rushing stores and flash robberies and this, that, and the third. They always show brown faces, right? That, for the most part, is set up because Jake doesn't move like that all the time. But Jake does that, but not to the extent where someone catches perfect footage of them. A lot of that shit's orchestrated. And that's orchestrated. Whether it's orchestrated, it's all of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Why? To cause the race war. Along with these migrants that are coming in, along with the so-called white man failing in everything, and they're living in squalor. And Jake, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, and Israelite foreigners, those that are of that lineage paternally, all right, are driving by in nice cars or, have a decent home or decent threads on or whatever, right? Because remember one thing: when Esau starts falling, all right, there's a shift in power. Jake starts doing better because you know why? Second Ezra 6 verse 9: for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that followeth. Our kingdom is coming, is drawing nigh. All right, but then at the same time, Jake may be doing well. Those of the elect, but they're still being put through the ringer. But they're not showing to the world, oh, woe is me, and all that bullshit. Okay, it's going to lead to martial law. Verse 17: a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. All right. Jeremiah 30 verse 7: alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The elect are going to be saved out of it. Now, Jacob's trouble is not just going to be a riot. It's going to last a couple of hours. That's it. It's going to be people joking each other, blowing each other away with gats. Okay, some of you dumbasses in America and other parts of the world assume that the UK doesn't have guns. Oh, the UK, it's illegal to have a gun in the UK. Are you stupid? The same way drugs are illegal, drugs are still bought and sold every day. Guns are illegal in the UK. Certain laws, guns were legal here in the 40s and 50s and all that. All right, but Esau, staged a few things and made a few things happen to take that freedom away. Straps were bought and sold, and shotguns are normal here on farms or in a place where there's farmland where you can have a shotgun. All right, you can have shotguns, and the street people, what you call hoodlums, have guns. They got AKs. All right, they got Uzis over here. They got everything that you have in every other part of the world. But the only thing is, it's not legal to own. People get shot every day here. All right, so that guns are definitely going to be part of it. All right, and obviously the government brings them in anyway. All right, and for some reason they always end up in the hands of Jake. Why? And all the so-called gangs, wherever Jake is. When I'm talking about Jake, I'm talking about the Jakes that are over here, like the West Indian Jakes, the Benjaminites, the Judites. The Nigerian Jakes, the Ghanaian Jakes. The Israelite foreigners amongst them, the Albanian Jakes out there. The North Indian Jakes. East Indian Jakes, all types. And heathens are amongst it too. So the straps are over here. Honkies have got it too. Edomites, KKK members, the British chapter, skinheads. It's all here. All right, it's not going to just going to be like just something small. This is going to be the worst time ever in history. All right, as it says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. The Lord is letting you know it's not. It's none is like it. It's never been like this before. What's going to happen? All right, just multiply every single movie you've seen, including The Purge and the all these cannibalistic type movies and all these grape movies where men are being raped also, which is disgusting. But it's going to go down like that because there's a lot of momos out there that are going to go crazy. All right, the road, all that multiply times 100 and add steroids to that. It's going to be worse than that. All right, and these are the beginning stages because that tide is turning towards that way. Elon Musk even says civil war is inevitable. All right, let's just play a bit of footage here, right? And I made a video before, like of skinheads training in different parts of London. All right, they got their own tactics, they got their own salutes that they're doing. Like the Hitler salute, whatever. You know, they're doing all that, and they're training. While you jakes are smoking spliffs, these crackers are training, practicing hand-to-hand combat, lifting weights, trying to get into shape, getting ready for the civil war. But you jakes just, all right, all you do is get high. You got bird chests. You don't work out. You don't eat right. You don't hit the bag. You don't do any kind of. Listen, man, you don't need to be no Michael Jai White, right? But you need to know if you do get into a scuffle, can you handle yourself to a certain degree? And most jakes do get into some kind of art, or at least learn it for a couple of years and then expand on that. You know, unless you've been blessed with a lot of time, or you are a teacher yourself. You know, meaning life takes over, and sometimes you don't have time to train and shit like that. You know how it goes. But most jakes do take care of themselves, especially Generation X, Gen Z. Ugh, them mofos are crazy. All right, all right. You're gonna have your armed groups that are already training and preparing for the race war. All right, because they know something ain't right. Okay, and a lot of these videos are coming online where people are walking around different parts of UK, different parts of America, showing how derelict it is. Homeless Edomites, homeless. When I say Edomites, these crackers on drugs, jobless. Then they're showing old videos online of once their former glory when these crackers ruled different parts of the world, how they used to be and how they are now. They're making comparison videos, and crackers are crying, and they want to trying to get a hold of, they're trying to get some kind of leverage on the world so they can get their society back, and it's gonna lead to a race war, man. But funny, these crackers are doing all these things at these housing immigrants, attacking immigrants and asylum seekers and all that, but they're doing it in many Edomite areas. They don't come to London though. They don't come to other parts where Jake is, got stronghold. But these crackers get their asses handed to them because when it comes to, well, the Lord has prophesied that we're gonna win this race war anyway. But the elect are not going to get involved unless it comes across them. They're not going to go out there and start smashing crackers' heads, not unless it's for self-preservation. But the Lord is going to step in anyway. But you've got your YNs out there. No matter what package they come in, they're going to do a lot of the Lord's work, man, when it comes to taking care of these crackers, man, and the heathen nations. Look at them with their Union Jacks on and shit. Let's play the vid. It plays.
Scary scenes out of the UK tonight as rioters tried to smash their way into a hotel housing immigrants and asylum seekers. The protesters are also attacking police in Rotherham, England, and trying to set 2 hotels on fire. The Prime Minister condemning the violence as the work of thugs.
People in this country have a right to be safe, and yet we've seen Muslim communities targeted, attacks on mosques, other minority communities singled out, Nazi salutes in the street. I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery.
Journalist Elliot Gotkin is joining us now from London. Elliot, at this point, what could bring the temperature down?
It's hard to see, really, Jessica, because let's not forget how this all started, which was with misinformation about the identity of the person that killed those three small girls at a Taylor Swift themed dance class in the seaside town of Southport near Liverpool in northwest England. So things do seem to have taken on a bit of a life of their own. We saw protests across cities in the UK on Saturday, and it was expected that there would be some more today on Sunday, but they really have degenerated into perhaps even more violence than we saw a day earlier. This is in Tamworth.
And this was happening before those little girls were so-called deleted. And by the way, those little girls were of color anyway. Okay, they were not white, so-called white children. Okay, these crackers were doing these attacks way before this ever happened as well. Because I've made videos of Jake being jumped. They jumped a so-called black man. You know, about 10 to 20 of these Edomites. Or these things have been going on. All right. It's not about those girls. This is just an excuse they'll use.
In this evening, this is just outside Birmingham, the UK's second city, where, as you say, the mob there tried to and succeeded in setting fire to a Holiday Inn Extra, which has been housing asylum seekers, people that have come to this country to try to get refugee status. And I suppose it's the timing is perhaps a little embarrassing for the local member of parliament, who's from Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party, when just last week she said in Parliament that the local people in Tamworth wanted their Holiday Inn back. They didn't want it to continue housing asylum seekers, and some of those people perhaps may have taken those words. And
now, the so-called white man, if they really cared about their world and society, right, why would they smash up stores and shop fronts for? I thought they wanted their world, their kingdom to thrive. I thought they wanted to get a foothold and a grip on their society. This is white prosperity, is it? Because they're just known, the so-called white man is known for destruction. They haven't built anything. They haven't created anything. All they've done is destroy and steal and grape. That's it. And here's an example. What the fuck has this got to do with, two little girls? I told you it's all bullshit made up, all right? And as mentioned, those girls were so-called ethnic minorities as well. They don't give a fuck about them. So nothing to do with that. It's as simple. They're just letting out their anger, and they don't like people of color. And places, most of these stores that you see here, people that do all the low-level work are people of color anyway. There are going to be a lot of Nigerian Jakes there, a lot of Elamites, Israelite foreigners, and stuff like that. All right, because the so-called white man's lazy. You can see those scumbags walking around, running around with shiesties on. You think they work? They probably can't even string a sentence together.
And taken matters into their own hands. And this just came a few hours after a mob also managed to set fire to a Holiday Inn Extra in Rotherham in the north of England, where also the fire was put out. Officers there with riot shields seemingly pinned against the wall of the hotel there as the rioters threw projectiles at them. They smashed their way into the hotel. They took out furniture and started hurling that at the officers as well. At least 10 officers have been injured. There have been there's something like 150 arrests after yesterday's violence. No doubt there have been many more today, and there's even reports that the government is going to have to draft in extra lawyers and have courts working kind of overnight to process the large number of people that are going to have to go through the legal system now after being caught on camera and being found to be in breach of the law.
This African giant pouched rat named
The UK is facing worse disorder as seen more than a decade after outbreaks of far-right and anti-immigrant violence swept the country. What happened on Britain's streets? Yeah, that's real. That's real. See, what's this going to achieve? It's Esau just being Esau, man. Anyway, as mentioned, this is going to lead to the race war because once this bullshit hits London, and London's got a stronghold of Jake, right, and people of color, other parts of the world too. But if you notice, these crackers didn't really sort of step into the sort of areas where people of color got a stronghold, where you got the real goons. All right, they didn't really step there. All right, they just did in the, did in the areas where they could so-called get away with it. The so-called white man is a fucking coward anyway. So see, got more of the articles. Britain is lurching. Okay, here's it. The Telegraph. Britain is lurching towards civil war, and nobody knows how to stop it. 3rd of April 2025. Now, this is a recent article. Oh, shit, I gotta sign up for this crap. Okay. Damn it. See if I can read this. All right, but you can see that, okay? Britain is lurching towards civil war, and nobody knows how to stop it. Let's see if I can find it someplace else. UK race rights summer 2024. Even Musk is chiming in, saying it's inevitable. Fifth of March 2025. Let's hopefully I can read this one. British neo-Nazis planned attack as part of race war, prosecutors say. 3 British right-wing extremists plan to collect an arsenal of weapons, including a 3D printed gun, and carry out an attack as a part of a race war, prosecutors said at the start of their trial on Wednesday. Brogan Stewart and Marco Pizzetto. They've got Italian with them? Okay. Some of them Italians are crackers anyway. Some of them are Jake. Brogan Stewart and Marco Pizzetto, and both 25, and Christopher Ringrose, 34, are alleged to have been preparing an act of terrorism targeting mosques or synagogues when they were arrested in February 2024. The trio are also each charged with 2 counts of collecting information, which may be useful to someone preparing an act of terrorism, while Ringrose is charged with manufacturing a component for a 3D printed FGC-9 firearm. They have pleaded not guilty. Trials at Sheffield Crown Court. The 3 defendants were right-wing extremists who regarded themselves as National Socialists or Nazis. Sandefjord said the trio expressed admiration for Adolf Hitler and perpetrators of notorious terrorist attacks, as well as hatred for non-white people, especially Muslims and immigrants. And immigrants could mean everyone, okay? A lot of Nigerian Jakes, Israelite foreigners are amongst them. All right, and mosques, obviously, you got dumbass Jakes, the so-called black man who's a big-ass Muslim. They love to be Muslims, mosques are pretty much got every ethnicity there that are Muslim, and they want to get Amalek. Yeah, shit, go get at Amalek, man. Hit the synagogues. Let's see. UK civil war. Is civil war coming to Europe? Holy war. Ain't no holy war. You Edomites are not part of anything. Scumbags. By the way, copyright fair use, 1976. I'm not making no money out of this. I'm going along with what you're saying. It is coming, yep. Slovakia. Let me just put this on the mute for a second while this damn commercial goes.
That has been allowed, when you no longer have a belief in the land. So I want to be clear. UK Civil War 2, where the coming civil war be a holy war. what's coming up in this video. So some of the hidden philosophical roots of the Civil War that is unfortunately likely to kick off soon. The importance of faith for victory, and I'll say what I mean by that. Why the West, not just Britain, but the West generally, will fall unless it does something quite particular.
No, it's going to fall. Okay. Paraphrasing another scripture, it's time to pluck up which has been planted. All right. Because the Lord controls everything, the right hand side and the left hand side. And the Lord controls the steps of every single thing that's happening around the world. Okay. The Lord plays chess against himself, if you want to put it that way. The Lord is very meticulous with everything, man. Nothing happens for no reason. Everything's happening. The Lord is basically, buffering and pushing everything in the direction of things to happen. So everything pursuant to the scriptures. So ultimately, it will lead to the fall of the society, the race war, Jacob's trouble, the charagma, the Revelation 13:16, the CHIP, the RFID, CHIP, right? World War III, Revelation 11:14, all that's going to happen. Okay, the happy days are not going to come back again. Isaiah 45 verse 7, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Mashai, do all these things. Okay, the Lord controls everything, all right? Everything. The Proverbs, do we reach Proverbs? Job 33:15, in a dream, in a night vision. No, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed. Then he openeth the ears of men, and seeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. Okay, so the Lord seals your instruction the night before. You might think, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and the next day the Lord seals the instruction in your mind, what you're going to do, and things work out how the Lord Yahweh Shai wants it to work out. Proverbs, man's goings of the Lord, then how can a man understand his own way? There's no such thing as free will. You may think that you're making the decision, but ultimately, whatever you're doing is of the Lord. You're scratching your nose, the tip of your nose. The Lord wants you to scratch the tip of your nose. You get up at 5 a.m., you pray, you go for a run. The Lord wants you to do that. All right? Nothing happens because, I decided. Nope, nothing like that. So these things are happening. It's all of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, man. It's got Isaiah 48:17. This is for Isaiah 48:17. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy power, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. And that's for Jake, man. All right, the righteous Jake. But overall, whether you're doing good for the righteous Jakes or whether you're doing bad for the 2/3 Jakes and the heathen, the Lord controls everything pursuant to Isaiah 45 verse 7. Let's go to the video, see if we can catch anything else in this. It's a long one, 1 hour, 32 minutes.
And what the spiritual future of the West will be. So this is essentially why we need the crusade. I'll explain what I mean by that, why we need to counter jihad specifically. And this is completely justified, crusade, as this video from PaxTube shows. A little bit about me, Irish, British background. I hold both passports, background in martial arts, psychology, worked in war zones all over the world in areas of conflict, civil conflict and post-civil conflict. Started a charity in Ukraine, supervised a team there, have done all kinds of work for charities, businesses, even talked briefly on the House of Lords on this topic. So I know a little bit experientially, let's say, on civil war. This is going to be a long, deep dive. Get a cup of tea if you're American, get some snacks. If you're French, a bottle of wine. If you're, 15 years old, the TikTok version will be available soon. Maybe a 10-minute version at some point. But this is long. It has to be. It's super philosophical, and there's some quite delicate topics here. So I want to be clear with them. So it's going to take some time. I would also say, though, if you're interested in the coming civil conflict, I'm going to be outlining the decisive factor, as people may have.
So, ultimately, he's just saying that the civil war is going to come, all right? You can check this out yourself. It's on medium.com, Coming Civil War. All right. It's an hour and a half. There's a whole lot of hodgepodge of videos around, man. Someone sort of like critiqued it, saying that's a whole lot of racist shit. Coming Civil War, Holy War. The cracker had to emphasize, yeah, I've got, what did he say? A background in martial arts. You still get your backside handed to you, boy. Very spiritual. 144,000 subscribers. 144. PaxTube is another right-wing influencer. PaxTube describes himself as a Catholic social commentator who makes really spectacular videos on Catholic history. All right. Modern day Holy War. I mean, there's a whole bunch of videos, man. Let's see if I can find anything else. Something a little shorter. Britain's right is heading for civil war and the reform. As the American new right blunders on the global stage, has its British cousin awaiting power in the wings already blown itself up? It's going to happen worldwide, man. This thing's going to be crazy when it does kick off. Is Britain heading for civil war? Paul Embry. Let's see what it says. Can I read this? Look at this piece of shit. Look at the comments he made. All right. Let me read this part here. Britain has had its problems, but we were a civilized and functioning democracy. Civilized. We've seen your civilization, how you civilize the world through murder, rape, torture, and theft. Man, the so-called white man is the most uncivilized monkey. All right, you're gonna get your just desserts, man. You're gonna get your just dues. All right. Ultimately, man, you can see that it's at that time where look at all these articles and videos all from March, April 2025. The one that played with the immigrants was from August last year. So it's like a snowball building up, man. All right. Future Wikia. Anyway, leave that alone. So civil war is inevitable, man. Okay, it's gonna happen. There's plenty of news articles out there. I mean, the videos I pulled out were about 90 minutes each. You can check them out yourself. All right, but it's that time. So it's time to build, spiritually gird up. All right, and be ready because things can kick off any time because we're in a very volatile world where people are walking around like ticking time bombs and anything can kick off. The elect are going to be safe. All right. But stay prayed up, pray without ceasing. All right, and keep the faith, man. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash, Shalom.